Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Stress Less, Achieve More call. My name is Stephanie Matos. I'm a mindset coach on the Brightly Thrive team. And today we are going to talk about all things stress management related. But today, specifically, we're going to talk quite a bit about burnout, how to avoid burnout. This is a kind of a continuation from the last call. So if you are watching the replay, I just want to say welcome. Thanks so much for watching the replay. We talked pretty extensively on this topic on Thursday of last week. So if you're looking for that replay, it would have been the one right before this call. So if you want to catch up on that one, you're more than welcome to. I have a feeling that if you don't, you'll still get a lot out of this call. However, if this is a topic that you'd like to learn more about and go deeper on, you can go watch that other replay whenever you're able to. And so what I want to do is just kind of jump in so that we have plenty of time. Time flies when you're having fun. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get started. And so just to kind of recap this idea of burnout. So if you think about burnout, let's use working out as an example. So if I were to say, you know what, I want to get fit. I want to get fit and trim and in shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to fast track it, just to get my goals faster. I'm not going to sleep. I'm just going to work out all day. I'm going to get one of those walking pads, and maybe I might like close my eyes a bit, but I'm just going to keep walking because I want to get this done quicker, right? What is going to happen is, unfortunately, I am not going to get fit, trim, and healthy and have a glowing skin and all of this kind of stuff. What's going to happen is that I will probably get multiple injuries. I will probably pass out and hit my head if I'm trying to walk all night. I will, basically what I mean is that you need rest in order to see results, right? So if I instead were to say, you know what, I'm going to work out 3 to 5 times per week. I'm going to be happy if I make it 3 times. I'm going to be super happy if I make it 5 times. I'm going to be happy if I make it anywhere in between. I'm going to dedicate myself to this. I'm going to have appropriate rest, appropriate recovery, appropriate eating, appropriate activity, working hard in the gym while I'm there, but then resting and recovering appropriately. Then I am going to have the results that I want. And so I think when it comes to burnout, we can kind of look at it like that, where if we do any one thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we will end up getting either injured or burnt out, no matter what that is. Even if it's something fun. I mean, let's say if you're like, love to go to the movies or you love to watch movies and you watch movies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guess what? That's not going to help you either, even if it's your favorite thing to do. And so when we're talking about burnout, essentially what it is too much of one way of thinking, feeling, and acting, too much of one way of being. It's a state of being. And generally what that means is it means maybe some not so great thoughts. Generally speaking, when people are approaching burnout or in full blown burnout, like that trajectory towards burnout, the thoughts they tend to start to go a bit negative. They start to be a bit much. So it's challenging to have really positive thoughts when your body's starting to kind of tip in a negative direction. And what we talked about quite a bit last week was kind of, so all of us have either been in a state of extreme overwhelm where we need to step away from things, or full blown burnout. Not everybody has been in full blown burnout, but I do believe many people have been close to it, or maybe even some people have been in it and they don't even realize they were. Or there's people who have been very, very stressed out for a certain season or whatever it is. And so no matter who you are or how you handle things, this idea of stopping things before it gets too much or too bad. So for example, in that scenario, when I'm like, I just want to be fit, but I want to be fit to like by next week. Let me just work out every single day. Well, generally speaking, there probably would have been a time within the first 2 to 3 days that I would have realized this probably isn't a good idea. Right. But then what I may have done is I had two different choices. One is, I think I'm going to change my approach. This isn't working. Let me rehab my knees and my hips and ankles and everything else that got stressed out. And then I can do this again in a better way. Or I could say, no, forget it. Ignore the signs and signals your body's giving you. you really want this outcome. So therefore, you have to just keep going, right? And one is going to lead me to better places than the other. And so, as I was saying before, what we kind of talked about before was generally there are some signs, some are more blatant, more obvious. And that example that I gave you, it was more like if my knee starts hurting, I know that that's not good. Some might be like, wow, I'm really tired. I'm really, really tired, right? Oh, maybe I can have some coffee. Well, I drank some coffee. I'm still tired, right? That is a sign of me being my body kind of starting to give out. And when you're approaching burnout, there's certainly signs and signals, right? So in this workout scenario, if you think about the muscles, muscles when you work out, there's a discomfort associated with that. So if I'm lifting, let's pretend this is actually heavy. It's not. If I'm lifting a really heavy weight like this, I'm going to feel discomfort in my bicep muscle, right? But then I take a break. I take a day off or 2 days off or whatever's appropriate for whatever schedule I'm on for working out. And in that time, the tears that happened when I was in discomfort seal back together again. They heal, only this time they heal bigger and thicker and stronger, which is how we build muscle, right? Then what happens is that over time, this muscle can now withstand 3 pens, right? So now I can lift even more. And this is actually kind of what happens, not kind of, it is similar to what happens when we're dealing with stress or things of that nature. I actually just was looking at a presentation recently on different types of trauma and PTSD and things like that. And there actually is a resiliency that builds after you've been through certain things. Right now, you have to heal certain things in order to accomplish and achieve and step into that more powerful version of yourself. And guess what? That's the same thing where it takes a bit of a break. You need just a bit of a break. Now, if I were to work out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to get fit, right? And I do that for 2 weeks straight, I'm going to have to take off probably about a month or more, depending on how injured I get, in order to rehab that back to normal. Now, if I would have realized that this was not the greatest idea within the first 2 days, I would maybe have to rest for like a couple days and then I'd be able to go, right? So I think the other thing that's important is the longer these things persist, the longer the duration of rest and recovery you might need to heal yourself from what you've been through. The shorter duration that we can make this, the easier it is to recover and recoup some energy, right? So if you, and by the way, Charlotte, if you have anything to add, please feel free. I know you were already well aware of what we were going to talk about today. So I just kind of jumped in. But if there's anything that you want to add to this, does all of this make sense so far?
Yes, it does. It definitely resonates for sure.
Okay, awesome. So you're understanding everything so far. If you have any questions, just jump in. You can interrupt me. You know the drill. You're more than welcome to just start speaking. So basically what we want to do, and this is another thing we covered last week, last Thursday, was first getting clear on what the signs are that you might need to take a short break. Okay. Now, when I say short, I could mean a break of up to a couple minutes, right? Like 3 minutes of deep breathing. I might mean 3 days, like a long weekend or something, right? Or like the whole weekend, let's say 2 days, right? It depends on where you are and what it is that you're going through. And so those signs and signals are the thing that tip you off to what you need to do in order to start to heal yourself or take that needed break so you don't accidentally get yourself into burnout. And in my example, break a knee, break a leg, hurt your foot, whatever. And then you're out for 8 to 12 to more weeks, right? Which is annoying. We don't want that. We got too much going on for that, right? So the second thing we talked about was coming up with what the thing is that you will do, right? Because for everybody, it's very different. For some people, they love to crochet or knit. For some people, they love to craft. For some people, they absolutely hate that and they like to go on a walk. For some people, they love to dance and listen to music or listen to music really loud in their house or whatever it is. And so I think the two things that, just to recap from the last session, is getting clear on what your signs and signals are that your body is telling you in order to understand when you're approaching this not so great way of being. And then number two, knowing what it is for you that really helps you feel better, tap into your body, get back in the present moment. That was another thing that we talked quite a bit about was, so let's use my example of this workout, this crazy workout routine. If I am too future paced, right? That's me. But I need to be in a bikini on the beach in just 8 weeks, so I've got to work out every single day, and I can't stop. I know that my elbow and my arm and my like leg and everything hurt, but I'm in the future, right? I can't quit because of that, right? Now, if I'm in the present moment, which is in my body, right? Then I'm better able to listen to the signs and signals that it's trying to give me. But if I'm over there or over here, which this for me is the past, this for me is the future. I might be flip flop for you in the way in the way that I'm on camera. But if I go to the past, right, where it's like, oh, but you ate all these cookies and all this stuff, so now you've got to punish yourself and work out, or whatever it is, right? I'm just kind of making things up in the scenario. That also doesn't give me the ability or accessibility to the truth of what my body is experiencing right now or my mind is experiencing right now. So, within all of that, pulling ourselves out of the past can be very, very, very helpful. Pulling ourselves out of the future can be very, very helpful. And it also is the only place that you can actually access the truth, which is what are you feeling right this second? And the other truth is, what is the best thing that I can do? Well, I've got 5 things that I can do that are in my little list that I've made. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play my pump up song, I'm gonna smell this essential oil, and I'm gonna breathe all at the same time. That's 3 things, but you know what I'm saying, right? You could do it outside. That's a 4th thing, right? Be out in nature, let the sun hit your skin or the wind hit your skin or the rain hit your skin or whatever's going on, the cold, depending on where you're at, and that can actually snap you into the present moment because it's engaging all of your 5 senses. So, I just happen to know that Charlotte's in Arizona, and I've been to Arizona, I've been to Scottsdale, and it's quite hot. Okay, so if I'm out in now I'm in Florida, so I'm used to the heat, right? It's a different kind of heat, and it's so funny that people say that, but it's the truth. It's a different type of heat. um, so when I was outside, what am I doing? I'm breathing the fresh air, right? So I'm using my sense of smell, right? Also, breathing is just yet another mechanism that we can use to offset the nervous system. I'm listening to maybe the cars going by or the birds chirping or the water that's flowing or the fountain that's next to me or whatever it is, right? I'm feeling the heat. I'm feeling that on my skin. I am seeing the bright sun that's out illuminating everything. I might see people walking the street. I might see people, whatever, right? And I might be feeling as well, right? Like, well, I'm feeling the heat on my skin, but I can also maybe feel my clothing or feel the hot floor beneath me or whatever it is, right? So anytime you can start to engage those 5 senses, what happens is that it's very challenging to think about the past and the future because you're zipped into the present moment. And so so this is June 3rd, right? So we're in a brand new month. This is a great time to set some powerful intentions about what you would like this June to be like, right? So if maybe May wasn't your best month, or maybe it was and you would like to continue that on, or maybe it wasn't and you would like to have a fresh start, this is a really great opportunity. Now, I am a big believer that you can have a clean slate any second of the day no matter what, but we have to admit there's something beautiful about the first Monday of the new month, starting off on a new foot. There's just something about it that helps with kind of having a clean slate with everything. And so setting the powerful intention that you want to become consciously aware of what's happening subconsciously. What does that mean? Okay. And I've got to wrap this up fast because I need to make sure that we have enough time for the meditation. So a lot of times when we accidentally fall into burnout or just extreme stress or negative thinking even or sadness or just any of the feelings and emotions and self-talk and thought processes that we don't really want, that's going to be different for everybody as well. But when that happens, a lot of it is habitual. Okay. And so not all of it is habitual because there are some things that are diagnosed and all of this kind of stuff. However, there is a large part of what we experience on a daily basis that we are accidentally habitually going into cycles and patterns. And so I think that this is another great opportunity to become consciously aware of the patterns that we have whether the pattern is every single time I get an opportunity, I'm just making this up. I say no because I'm too nervous to do whatever. Every time I get asked to speak in front of the group and blah, 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 I say no because I don't believe in myself enough or whatever it is, right? It could be every time I sit in my chair at work, I immediately start to get a flood of stress hormones going coursing through my body, right? A lot of these things are actually habits that got formed from practicing it for so long. And so when we have a habit, essentially what that means is that it's running on the subconscious level, which means you're not aware of it. Part of the subconscious or part of that is also the autonomic nervous system, which is the autonomic, you can kind of think of it as like automatic, which is I and we, like, thank goodness, do not have to go breathe, breathe, you need oxygen, breathe, breathe. No, we automatically are breathing. Now, sometimes we do hold our breath, especially when we're stressed, when we get anxious, when we get stressed, but eventually we will breathe. Okay. But it is important for us to be aware our breathing can be affected. I don't have to tell my heart to pump. Like, I'm not like, pump heart. So, in that automatic sector of the nervous system, there is the subconscious programming, which basically the brain is set up for to save energy. It's like an energy saving mode. And what does that mean? I don't have to think when I get up, what do I do again? What is it that I'm supposed to do? Oh, yeah, brush my teeth, wash my face, get ready, go drink my coffee. No, it's just automatic. We just get up, do our thing. And each and every one of us has like a certain steps that we take in our morning routine, for example, that makes sense to us, and maybe it's backwards to somebody else's, but that makes sense to them. And the reason why our brain creates these patterns, like, you even probably brush your teeth a certain way, you probably take a shower a certain way, you wash your dishes a certain way, you drive to work a certain way, you do all of these things a very specific way, and that's because your brain creates a pattern around it so that it doesn't have to waste any energy thinking of the things that you do all the time, right? So when we introduce something in new, it does take quite a bit of energy because the old patterns want to run. So they really want to run, and actually they love to be kept alive. So sometimes they'll even kick up a bit. Like, they'll kind of say like, "Wait, no, you're supposed to be stressed. What do you mean? What about this? And what about that stressful thing?" And blah, blah, blah. They'll start making up all kinds of stuff so that you can keep them in their place because it feels, even though it's annoying, it feels like a warm fuzzy blanket, right? And so what we want to do is just become aware of the power that we have of an intention of, you know what, this month is going to be a different month for me because I'm going to become consciously aware of these things. Those things. So we talked just a minute ago and on Thursday about the signs that come through before the burnout comes, right? Those signs before the burnout comes. And so I'm going to be more consciously aware of the tiny, tiny little signs and signals that I'm pushing myself too much, or that I need to just take a step outside and take some deep breaths, that I need to step off this roller coaster before I end up 10 miles down the track and I don't like where I'm at, right? How does that all sound, Charlotte?
That was very informative. I was nodding a lot to things because I was like, me, me, me. That is me.
And me and other people watching this and many other human beings on the
Yeah.
planet. So you're not alone, that's for sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
Was there any part that kind of stuck out a little bit, or is there any part that kind of makes you excited for the future or how you're moving forward?
I don't. I don't know about. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. I've got some Slack blinks happening right now.
Oh, okay.
um, but
They can wait a second,
yeah.
just so you know, it's okay.
Um, I am looking forward to improvement for sure. The concept of not looking to the past and the future is foreign to me. So I am, but I can see the need to um figure out how to live day by day in the moment. So I am excited to try and learn that because I know constantly looking behind me and constantly looking in front of me is how you walk into poles, you know?
It's the truth. It's the truth. And I think it's important. Okay, so I love that analogy. And another one that I like to use is, have you ever seen those they're Red Bull racing people, but they're mountain bikers, but extreme, where they're like on the side of a cliff, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're watching it on the edge of your seat, right? And so the people who do that sport, it's really important for them to stay in the present moment. They cannot be thinking about the past or the future. They can't. The second that they do, they probably crash immediately. So their sport keeps them so incredible. And all of those kind of more risky sports like that keep you very, very, very in the present moment, because the second, and also not looking at the obstacles, looking at the path. So, for example, let's say this is a rock and I go, oh no, there's a rock. Guess what? I'm probably more likely to hit that rock than if I did, there's the trail, right? I'm not focused on the rock. I'm focused on the trail, right? And that's what they're doing, is just in split seconds on that trail, on that trail, on that trail. They're not looking at the cliff next to them. They're not looking at all the trees and trunks and all of that stuff that's in their path. They're looking at the path of least resistance, basically. And so if you have never really experienced living this way, and I can understand how that feels because I used to be the same way, it's quite liberating, freeing. It feels so good. It is life changing, and the cool thing is that you have all month to practice it, and gently guide yourself back. Gently guide yourself back, which is, I think it would be silly for us to think that I've got to watch this time because I promised you I was going to do a meditation and now I'm talking too much. But this is important. The meditation is a nice to have, and I think this is more of a need to have. So essentially, if you have basically lived like this for many years, this has become a habit. It's just habitual. Your brain very easily goes to the past and the future. It's what it does. It knows how to do it. Just like I know how to drink water and walk. It's easy, right? And so what's going to be challenging is present moment focused. However, it's a practice just like anything else. Like those BMX bikers that I was talking about, or whatever they are, mountain bikers or whatever they're called, off-road biking, they did not start doing that. So they didn't start on 1,000-foot cliff, right? They started on the kiddie slope, or whatever it is. And so that's where you're starting now, is like, you don't never want to beat yourself up for being in the future or the past. But if you can just kind of zoom out and go, interesting, I just found myself in the future. Interesting, I just found myself in the past. Right. And then just kind of guide yourself back with your five senses. If you want to use those, they're very easy to use and you always have them with you. Right. So you don't have to have any tools or anything. And then you can allow yourself to just keep practicing present moment focus, present moment focus. Does that sound like something that you're up for?
Yes, absolutely.
Love it. Love it, love it. And things like, for example, Slack, like when you're in stuff like this, allow yourself to just like exit out, not exit out, minimize, right? So you can just minimize. And that's a future you problem. But guess what? Future you becomes current you eventually. And future you becomes current you, and future you becomes current you. So you're never going to drop the ball on anything. It will always be there when you come back around. And nobody's going to pass out if they don't get to you on Slack right away, even though it feels like that sometimes. And you're allowed to take these 30 minutes to yourself. And I hope that you continue coming. I do think that this will help you a lot with understanding this new way of being in your body. A lot of the things that we feel are connected to thoughts. So the thoughts generally elicit an emotion, and then the emotion that we feel generally elicits more thoughts, which elicit more emotions. So I have a thought, oh no, everybody hates me. I have a thought of I'm ashamed, which leads to more shame thoughts, which leads to more painful feelings, right? And so what we want to do is get a handle on the cycle that's happening, right? Strategically get a handle on the cycle that might be happening between thought and feeling or emotion that's in the body. So thoughts and feelings so thoughts are like the language of the brain, while feelings and emotions are the language of the body. And sometimes they each have their own agenda. So sometimes the body is stuck in the old, where it's like, yeah, but I've always felt like this, so this is how I'm always going to feel. And the brain's like, no, 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 I want to do something different. And sometimes it takes a bit for this to catch up. It's a chemical cocktail of events that's happening, which takes a little bit of time to tweak the chemicals. Takes a little bit of time to tweak the chemicals, but I know that you can do it, and I'm here to support you 110%. Okay, so we have 3 minutes. Let's do this. It's going to be short, but it's going to be sweet and going to get to the point. All right, so what I would love for you to do is just close your eyes with me now. And what I'm going to do, yep, you're muted already. So go ahead and just take a couple big, deep breaths. You can let them out with a sigh. Actually, letting things out with a sigh is one of the fastest ways that you can offset the nervous system into a calm state. Right? So they can be big size, small size, but those size really help offset the nervous system. And so what we want to do now is just center ourselves into present moment thinking, becoming consciously aware that we would like to change where the subconscious programming of the brain has been for many, many, many years, maybe even decades, maybe for your whole life. And so, what we want to do is just set the powerful intention that we're open to changing this now. We're open to spending more time in a calm, peaceful, happy state. We're ready, willing, and able to release any agreements we accidentally made with ourselves that we have to be a certain way, or that we are a certain way, or that this is just how we are. It couldn't be further from the truth. The science does not support that. What the science supports is that we have neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity says is that our brain is ever changing, ever expanding. However, it can feel a bit challenging in the moment, just like lifting a 50-pound bicep curl would be quite challenging for me now. But if I trained up to it, it would end up being easy. And this is the same thing that we're doing now. And what we're also doing is that we're promising ourselves that we're going to give this a chance. We're promising ourselves that we aren't available for beating ourselves up anymore. This isn't something that lives in our reality, and we refuse to do it. And if we accidentally fall into old patterns and old habits of beating ourselves up, or thinking that we're not good enough, or thinking that this isn't possible, what we do is we just gently veer over to the opposite, which is, yes, I can. Yes, I will. Watch me. We can't do one crunch and expect a six-pack abs, right? That's something that we have to do consistently. And that's the same with neurology. It's very much like a muscle. And so just allowing that to sink and settle into your heart space, just allowing that to sink and settle into the truth of who you are, allowing the science of the brain to really be a powerful reminder of what you're capable of with the right guidance, the right coaching, the right strategies, and the right amount of practice. The sky isn't even the limit of what you can accomplish and achieve. So, allowing all of this to upgrade your subconscious programming now, allowing this to upgrade every single fiber and cell and DNA level that there is in your body. Here's two. We're allowing this to take place through all space and time. So the past, present, and future. We're healing the past so that you can be more in the present. And we're making peace with the future because we don't have a crystal ball, so that you can stay more in the present. So releasing yourself and releasing any chains that you may have accidentally put in place, tethering you to the future in the past now. In a moment, I'm going to count to one, not yet, but in a moment. And when I do, I want you to open your eyes and smile, but only when you understand how absolutely powerful of a change maker in yourself you truly, truly are. Here's one. Welcome back to the space. We only went like a minute over, not too bad. How are you feeling, Charlotte? That was a pretty short one, but how did that feel?
Good. I think I've gone from less focused when I started here to being a little more focused at the end of the video. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Okay, can you stay on for 1 second after I
Mhm.
get off Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you joining and watching the replay. If you're ever able to join me live, I would absolutely love it if you would join me live. If you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to pop them in the Slack channel. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.